All right, let's jump right in. We're going to trace this one single, incredibly powerful idea through, get this, 2,000 years of history. We're talking philosophy, mysticism, and even computer science. It's the story of one concept, seen through the eyes of four totally different, brilliant minds.
Okay, so what if I told you that a 9th century Zen master and the father of modern computer science were, well, describing the exact same thing? I know, it sounds a little crazy, right? A Zen master and a computer scientist separated by literally centuries and entire cultures. How on earth could they be talking about the same concept? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to try and solve together.
So, to crack this, we're going on a bit of a journey. We'll be hopping between four completely different worlds. Think ancient Greece, Tang Dynasty China, medieval Europe, and, believe it or not, mid-20th century England. And our goal? To find that one hidden thread that ties them all together.
So here's the plan. We'll look at the unscribed tablet, then the unborn mind, after that the one thing, and finally the universal machine. And then at the end, we'll connect all the dots.
Okay, first stop, ancient Greece. We're starting with a real heavy hitter, Aristotle, around 350 BCE. This guy was, well, he was basically obsessed with one question. How do we know what we know? Where does knowledge actually come from? And just to give you a sense of scale, let's check out the timeline. We're kicking things off with Aristotle way back in 350 BCE. But look at the gaps. We've got huge stretches of time between each of our thinkers. And honestly, that's what makes the connection we're about to uncover so absolutely mind-blowing. So Aristotle's big idea is right here. He says the intellect is, well, it's potentially whatever is thinkable, but it's actually nothing until it has thought. What he's getting at is that the mind, before it experiences anything, is just pure potential. It's not really anything yet, but it has this incredible capacity to become anything you can think of. It's like an empty canvas, just waiting for the paint. And this idea eventually got a famous name, Tabula Rasa, which is just Latin for blank slate. This is our very first glimpse of this universal substrate we're hunting for, this neutral, empty thing that can hold any idea, any form. And for Aristotle, the whole point of this blank slate was simple, to fill it up with knowledge, with experiences from the world. All right, now let's fast forward. I'm talking a big leap, about 1,200 years, all the way to 9th century China. And we are entering a completely different universe of thought. This is the world of Zen Buddhism, and we're going to listen to a master named Huangbo Xiyun. His teachings were written down in a text called The Transmission of Mind, and right away you can see he's playing a totally different game than Aristotle. Huangbo wasn't interested in building up a big system of knowledge about the world. No, he was trying to point directly at the nature of reality itself, and he had a name for it, the one mind. Now listen to this. Huangbo says, "This mind has never been born and never been destroyed." You hear that? It sounds a lot like Aristotle's idea of pure potential, right? But here comes the twist. He's also describing this formless, timeless thing, this one mind, but his advice isn't to fill it up with thoughts. It's the exact opposite. He says to be without mind, so you can see its true, original, empty nature. And that right there is the heart of his one mind teaching. The idea isn't just that your mind starts as a blank slate. It goes way deeper. The idea is that your mind, my mind, everyone's mind, we're all just temporary ripples on the surface of one single universal consciousness. A consciousness that is, at its core, completely formless. Okay, time for another jump. We're moving ahead a few hundred years and heading west into the pretty mysterious world of medieval alchemy. And here, we find this incredibly strange and influential text called the Emerald Tablet. You've probably heard its most famous line, "That which is below is like that which is above." What it's really getting at is this idea of a totally unified reality. It's saying that the whole cosmos, from the biggest stars down to the smallest pebbles, is all running on the same operating system. And it all comes from one single source, what the tablet calls the one only thing.
And boom, there it is again, our universal substrate. Only this time, it's not a mind, it's a kind of metaphysical substance, what the alchemists called the prima materia, or first matter. They believed there was this single, formless stuff that everything in the entire universe was made from, and that it could be transformed into anything.
And now for our final leap. It's a big one. We're jumping forward another 800 years.
right into the 20th century and the dawn of the computer age. And our guide here is none other than Alan Turing, the mathematical genius who basically invented the world we live in today.
So, back in 1950, Turing wrote this groundbreaking paper, and in it, he did something brilliant. He took the old, fuzzy, philosophical question, can machines think, and he just tossed it aside. He replaced it with a practical test, something you could actually do, which you might know as the imitation game.
And this right here is the core of his breakthrough. Turing realized that a digital computer has this special property. It can mimic any other computer. He saw that underneath all the different programs, all the different software, the machine itself is basically the same. He said they are, in a sense, equivalent. And he gave this idea a name, the universal machine.
So what is this universal machine? Well, it's our universal substrate, but for the 20th century. It isn't some mystical substance, it's a substrate of pure logic. A computer is, for all intents and purposes, a blank slate for instructions. You feed it the right program, and it becomes a calculator. Give it another, and it's a chess grandmaster. But underneath it all, its original substance, its fundamental nature, is always that same single universal logic.
Okay, so we visited ancient Greece, Zen China, medieval Europe, and Turing's England. We've seen 4 different versions of this universal substrate. Now for the fun part. Let's put them all together and see what happens.
And this is where it all just clicks into place. Just look at this comparison. On one side, you have the one mind from 857 CE. It says a single universal consciousness is the true nature of all beings. On the other, you have the universal machine from 1950. A single universal logic is the true nature of all computers. It's the same pattern. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. One is talking about consciousness, the other about computation, but both are saying that all the different things we see, individual minds or individual programs, are just expressions of one single underlying substrate.
So you gotta be asking, if they're all talking about the same basic thing, why do their ideas feel so different? Well, it's all about direction. Think of it like a vertical axis. At the center, you have the universal substrate, the blank slate. Now thinkers like Aristotle and Turing, they want to move up. Their goal is to fill the slate, to build complexity, to add knowledge and programs. But then you have thinkers like Huangbo. His goal is to move down. He wants to empty the slate, to wipe it clean, so he can see the fundamental, simple void that was there all along.
And that brings us to the big question, the one I want to leave you with. The fact that this same pattern, this idea of a universal substrate, keeps popping up in philosophy and mysticism and in computer science, that's just wild. So what does it mean? Are we actually discovering some fundamental law of how the universe works? Or are we just finding new and clever ways to describe our own minds? Is the blank slate an external reality? Or is it just the ultimate metaphor for consciousness itself, a pattern that we can't help but see everywhere we look? In other words, is the code out there in the machine, or is it in here, in us?